Great. Okay. So good morning, everyone. And for those of you who don't know me, I'm Nicola Thomas of the FDEA, and welcome to our confectionery and snacking category deep dive session, which is quite a mouthful. So this forum is an exclusive event for our FDEA Pro and Premium members. But we've also opened it up to companies who are exhibiting with Karen and Sandra on the British Group stand at ISM next month. So welcome to you if it's your first time you're joining one of our events, and hopefully you'll like what you see and you'll get a good flavour of our thriving export community. So a bit of background to this session. One of the core strengths of the FDEA community is our vast network of in-market experts across about 20 overseas territories, and our international trade specialists who help our members with all the nuts and bolts of exporting, whether that's logistics, labelling, compliance or certification. So at the start of this year, we surveyed this network to understand the key opportunities and challenges for UK food and drink exporters to help members get to grips with the global landscape in 2023, and also highlight what they need to focus on in order to be successful over the next 12 to 18 months. And the country research that we did drew out some key trends around health and wellness and sustainability, for example. And as a follow-up, our members were asking us how those trends are playing out in key categories. So this inaugural category deep dive session, so we picked this one to start off because we've got a large number of members who are snacking and confectionery brands in our membership, and with our ISM on the horizon, where those of you who are exhibiting will be showcasing what the UK has to offer to the rest of the world. So to help me today explore these opportunities and challenges for the confectionery and snacking sector in more detail, I'm delighted to welcome a panel of extremely knowledgeable guests. First of all, we're going to set the scene by hearing from Niels Glommer, who is the Global Brand Manager at Koelnmesse, the home of ISM and the host of a number of ISM shows on other continents. And Niels is going to take us on a trend tour of the world based on the markets where they have a presence. And then we're going to bring in 4 of our in-market experts who, as our members will know, are really your eyes, your ears, and often your hands on the ground in overseas markets, and their day-to-day job is helping UK brands to enter and build sales in market. So we're going to dig a bit deeper into what they're seeing in terms of category trends, the opportunities, the challenges in different geographies around the world, and also share some case studies of how they've helped imported brands to succeed and some of the lessons that have been learnt along the way. So if you've got any questions as we go along, pop them in the chat box, and we'll leave time to answer as many of them as possible. So I'm going to start by handing over to Niels from ISM. Welcome, Niels. You were saying earlier there were several new faces today, so I'm sure you've seen a few more as people have been joining, but warm welcome.
Hey, everybody. I hope everybody can see my screen of the presentation. Is it coming up? Let me just see.
Yeah, that's there.
Perfect. All right, so also welcome from my side. Thank you for inviting me to today's webinar. As you already said, I'm Niels. I'm working here at Koelnmesse and I'm based in Cologne. I think one of the few places that is seeing sun today. I think it was yesterday in Great Britain. And yeah, as you said, I wanted to give you a little overview about the market where ISM is taking place. And those of you who are joining ISM in Cologne end of next month, we're really looking forward to welcoming you here. Maybe I do have the chance to see some of you earlier already in Tokyo, which is taking place in 2 weeks, and it will be our premiere. So we're quite excited. Yeah, and with this, I'm just wanted to give you my contacts up front, so you know who I am. I'm Global Brand Manager, so taking care of all the food shows and sweet and snack shows that we have worldwide. And there's also the global portfolio that I'm taking care of and really trying to get the findings, what we get from the markets and our exhibitors and visitors directly and put it in a dense presentation mode today. We will send you the presentation after this webinar, and there's some links to it, so you can also deep dive yourself, get access to the stats I've put inside, and get further market information. So just that you know. As we see, there is, I guess, 3 or 4 major trends worldwide that we can find at any of our shows. One was mentioned already in the brief introduction, which is the one of sustainability, which from my perspective, I do see already quite strong in the food and beverage segment, and slowly coming into the sweet and snack segment more and more. But more important, there is this topic of health consciousness, of premiumization, and also functional foods and functional ingredients. And we will see during the different markets that all of these major trends are, of course, coming up and are emerging, but they are in different states. So you will see I've clustered this presentation into the markets where we have shows, and we do have 3 ISMs. So ISM in Cologne is the leading trade fair, the new premiere in Japan, as I just mentioned, and ISM Middle East in Dubai, which used to be Yamex. So those 3 are particularly for sweet and snacks industry, but with our food and beverage, there's always about a 20-25% percentage of sweet and snacks exhibitors. So this is why I've added those markets here into this presentation as well. So now let's have a quick look at China. I'm always just saying it's a short glance because I'm not sure if China is a market for you, or Brazil or Colombia, Mexico, Thailand. So I'm always highlighting a few facts that I think is quite interesting, and so you can pick this out for you. And I'm of course available for questions afterwards, or if you have anything that you want to get more into detail with, you can always reach out to me as well afterwards. China now is becoming interesting again because it's opened up. We're quite happy to see this, and we do see a little bit of a backlash, people looking into China as well again, even though there is a certain, I would call it, hesitation. The last 3 years have taken a little dip in terms of export growth strategies, and a lot of the producers are looking into different markets as well, but nonetheless China is very interesting for them. And mostly it's about the topic of chocolate and luxury goods. So it's really extremely important to have a good wrapping and a nice presentation of your product in China. And this is basically an entry for penetrating this market and giving something exquisite, whether it's nice wrapping, whether it's specially formed sweet and snacks. And this is what the Chinese consumptionists usually like. We do see there is a growing rate as the average income is increasing, still a very young population. This is some kind of luxury commodity, and there is a big demand. What's important is the coffee culture, and this is my highlight I would like to give here. We see that artisanal coffee places are popping up in China everywhere. So not just around the bread and bakery segment, but also little sweet and snacks. This is becoming part of this coffee culture, and I think this is a really interesting market to look in to and place your products, as it is really also a niche on the upper scale snacking, I would say, within China. Key players I've always listed here, which are not new to you, but I think it's always nice to see, okay, who is already quite dominant in the market. If we look at Colombia, it's a very different level of where we at, because Colombia as a cacao production country is of course strong in the export. What's interesting is really that gummies are one of the largest growing categories. So this is maybe interesting to you, and so it's going away from the chocolate more into the savory snacks, but also gummy bears. And if we think about chocolate though, there is really trend of premiumization. So high percentage of chocolate, low sugar, interesting communications with caramel, flavors like mint. This is something that we see in Colombia. where I was just mentioning the coffee culture. This is something we don't see yet in Colombia. So here we're really talking the traditional retail markets and supermarkets, where is a good entry point for sweet and snacks categories. Overall, we expect a big growth. You see here 8.1%. In terms of sugar and sugar products, and also the baked goods with 6% is quite a strong growth that we expect in Colombia. So within Latin America, I would say after Brazil, this is really a little bit like the hidden champion. One tends to forget. And partly what's also driving this growth is a really strong hotel and tourism industry, where a lot of Americans are actually spending the time in Colombia, and this is basically swapping over from the North American countries, North America to South America. Now, I just mentioned already in Latin America, Brazil as the largest market of South America. It's also the fourth largest consumer market for chocolates and for sugar confectionery products. This is really yeah, a big driver in Latin America. And now as political situation was unstable 2016-17 onwards, there was high inflation. Now there has been recently the election, and even though the political landscape changed from right to left, and now we are seeing that things are getting normalized again. The administration is getting on track, and they're really wanting to open up the market and facilitate trade. We see this also here at Anuga and our talks with AnuFood Brazil, where there's also a strong political driving moment that is making sure that Brazil is going to continue this upward trend. What is important here, though, is also the regulations on cutting sugar and saturated fats. So basically, also what we have here in Germany, the traffic light of if a product is healthy or not. This is something as sweet and snacks producers you have to keep in mind, that there is local regulations, and the general tendency is to fight obesity, also done by the government. And this is something where you have to watch out and how to promote your products within this market. Now in Germany, we'll all meet here at ISM, so third largest confectionery market. I was just talking about the traffic light. So in general, we are quite conscious about healthy and natural products. And I guess this is a European trend through and through. Everybody is looking for this. There's premiumization. It's healthy snacking, doing something good for your body, but also seeing these niches, something is handcrafted, it's slowly produced, it's artisanal. So these are all driving factors that I would say is much more on a sophisticated level, without being too judgy, comparing it to other markets. So here, the request for the high quality product is on a much different level than we see elsewhere in the world. And this is also putting into, I would say, maybe indulgence, and also the willingness to pay and spend more on healthy snacking, which is something I think where there's also a quite strong profit margin that US producers can achieve. India, again, it's emerging middle class, so there's a similarity to China, I would say, and it's becoming increasingly competitive. And this is also pushed by the local government as well. India is positioning themselves as a new alternative to China, and I think is becoming more and more interesting for international food and beverage manufacturers to really go and try to reach this market. It's still a very complex one, since Modi is in the government over the past years. Many regulations have become easier, but nonetheless, I guess it's not a surprise that it is still tricky and not so easy to enter it. But in terms of gifting and premiumization, these are the driving factors that will get you into the shelves. Japan is quite interesting, again, as an alternative to China. And I think there it really is the testing out market. This is where you will see what is flying in the Asian countries. Chocolate is the largest segment. I guess we all have this picture in mind of the Japanese being very health conscious and functional foods. There is a trend of healthy snacking, so several snacks during the day. You would even find this within sporting gyms where there is snacks at display and also for offer that are of course then with special ingredients or added supplements high in protein. But so this is something where snacking is already a very rooted part within their culture. And if you think about chocolate, what's important there is that the taste and average is going away from the sweet. So very dark chocolate, high percentage is something that the Japanese like. But there's also what I put here, receptiveness to innovative products. This also means there's a high seasonal demand within Japan. So now it's Easter time or cherry blossom time, and the producers are really required to have a very high portfolio, a very diverse portfolio, and changing the product quite often, and having thus a short life cycle because it's really demanded by the Japanese consumers. Mexico, I guess, is the hub into North America from our side. This is also something very similar to Brazil and Colombia. There is high demand. Domestic producers are very strong though. So I guess this is a very let's say unexplored market yet. So there is still a development in terms of chains that you need to find. And for exporting to Mexico, it's really all about finding the right entrance in terms of where they're at. I don't see that there's a strong premiumization yet. This is just a very developing market. And again, the only point that they are making now is the healthy snacking, again, to fight obesity within North America. This is becoming more and more of an issue. Last but not least, or second last, the MENA region. I guess this is just driven by the multi-diverse ethnicities that you have there. So it's a very strong profiting and a high income region. It's also the confectionery market that has the strongest expected rate to growth. So the CAGR is about 8%. So there is really a high per capita consumption. And I think this is also a very good gateway to not just Dubai and Saudi Arabia, but really the North African subcontinent. So ISM Middle East is really offering you this there. Lastly, Thailand. There we do see again trends of the Asia, low fat, low sodium, whole grain, organic. So here I guess we're really driving into the healthy segment again and sustainable. Premiumization is not that strong yet. It's really more about the health consciousness, having a good healthy life, being very clear in terms of what kind of ingredients are used, and that makes, I guess, the really good entrance into this market. Yeah, I would end with this. There's 2 more slides that will be attached. You'll find more on Sweden snacks in Brazil and also in India. There's more detailed stats. You can just click on it. But I guess for now, I've tried to give you some spotlights on what's happening in the different market, at least from what we are seeing. And I'm happy to answer any questions if you have some now or after the webinar.
That's great, Niels. Thank you very much. That was a real whistle-stop tour of the world and of opportunities. But I think, you know, there's obviously kind of something for everyone there, and particularly I think it would be music to the ears of our more experienced exporters who are looking for the next markets in the mid to the long term. And you know, specifically in South America, that obviously they've got the right demographics and the potential for growth there, and presumably the fact that you're running shows there means that you think that there's big opportunities there as well for the future. So yeah, I think that was really insightful and a great comparison for anyone wanting to sort of look for their next big export market. So very much.
Thank you.
I know you've got to dive off shortly, so if anyone has got a question directly for Niels and they want to ask that now, David, you got your hand up?
David.
Yeah, hi David. You might still be on mute.
Sorry, right. Good morning, everyone. Yeah, that was really, really helpful. Thanks very much, Niels. I just wanted to get a bit of clarification. I think on the Colombian slide, you said that Casaluca were a major player in the market, and I think it was Brazil you also put down that Calabal were a major player in the market. Are they selling products under their own brand there, or are they in the market just because they're supplying the couverture to the branded manufacturers as they are in Calabo supply 50% of the market as it is, so but they don't necessarily have a branded presence.
Locally producing and some private label. That's usually how they enter in these markets.
So with their brands as well, as own label.
Some with their brands under their own label.
Okay.
But not in terms of these are the main players you would find at any Carrefour that you would go to. So they're really diverse in their portfolio.
Okay, all right. No, thank you for that, clearing that up. And just the point on Japan. I mean, as Karen and Sandra know, I was over at FoodX a couple of weeks ago, and it was tremendously positive in terms of what we were showing. But, I think out of all the ones you've mentioned there, probably Japan is the one that will be highest on my list the next couple of years.
Yeah, glad to hear this. And I mean, we're offering now several opportunities. ProWine is coming, Anuga is coming, we are coming. So I guess also from an organizer side, we really do see the potential. If there is one takeaway message, and I hope this also became clear, is there's hardly one size fits all. I mean, this is specifically true for Japan, but also the different markets that we just covered. They really need specific working on and going into detail about where are they in their setting, basically.
For sure. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Niels. I think yes, just as you said, sort of giving a flavour, and then people can pick on the things that work for their brand, their company, etc. But yeah, really good start to kick everybody off. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Yeah, has anyone else got any other questions for Niels?
If not, also you can, as I said, you will receive the presentation. I will be here during ISM. You'll have my contacts, so please feel free also to reach out. I'm happy to help you further.
Yeah, we'll make sure that everyone gets your contact details. Brilliant. Okay, so we're going to move on to give you some feedback from the front line. So as those of you who are members know, our in-market partners are they are talking to retailers, they're talking to food service operators. They're really seeing the confectionery and snacking category in action in their territories. So I'd like to say this was by design, but actually it was completely by default that we've got our in-market partners from pretty much across the globe. So we've got the US, France, and the Middle East represented. So I'd just like to introduce you, for those of you who don't know, first of all to Mathilde from Sutralis in France. Welcome, Mathilde.
Welcome, nice to see you all.
Yep, I know you'll be a familiar face to lots of people joining today. And then to Ben, who many of you might have seen out at Gulf Foods last month. Hi, Ben.
Morning, how are you?
And good to have you here. And then finally, last but not least, is our newest recruit, Steve from AWS in the States. And those of you who were on last Friday's member meetup will have had a great introduction to the US in a nutshell, I think, from Steve, and lots more to come from him. So great to have you with us as well. Okay, so we're going to take a look at some of the trends that Niels has been talking about and that came out of our survey that we did earlier in the year. Obviously, health and wellness is a major food and drink trend, but we're keen to understand how's this playing out in a traditionally unhealthy category like confectionery and snacking. So Mathilde, come to you first. How's health and wellness playing out in France?
Well, regarding the confectionery and snacking product, clearly in France, but I think like in many countries, it's not the category that is the most healthy for sure. But it's important to, I mean, at least in France, French people, when they want to buy snacking or confectionery, they are not looking for really healthy product. They're definitely looking for tasty and indulgent product. But it is true that there is still actors that are playing on the current trend. So we do see more product that will have less sugar, for example, or more natural ingredient. For example, for the sweets and the gummies, we will see more and more like claim as from real fruit juice. We will see cleaner ingredient lists, so a lot of palm oil free, preservative or additives free, and also the certification like organic and vegan. This would be the claim that we will see in this category at the moment, but definitely people are definitely looking for a tasty product. I had a meeting again last week with Carrefour, and the buyer of confectionery was telling me that it's a market that is definitely working, and people are looking for a product that will make them feel happy. So it's usually a treat for them.
Yeah, and looking at what's going on in France at the moment, you need something to make you happy, I think. so
no comment.
Yeah.
No comment here.
That's great, thanks. And moving over to the other side of the world, Steve, how about health and wellness in the US?
Yeah, we're seeing all the trends in the US as well: premiumization, functional food, health, definitely affecting the snack and confectionery category. Natural sweeteners are big. Different better for you snacks, very popular. We saw one chocolate maker that was selling chocolate based on various functional food applications. So energy boost, stress reduction, sleep. So you buy the chocolate based on your functional need. So we're seeing a lot of those trends in the US. But I also want to say the US is a big market. And I'll give kind of three figures. US GDP is $20 trillion, $21 trillion. The US food market is about $2 trillion. That's 10% of the market. The specialty food sector is about 175 billion. So that's about 8% of the whole food market. So that means about 92% of the market is not specialty food. Specialty food is high growth. All those trends are high growth, but there's still a lot of activity out there that is sort of not in that area. And one of the stats that I sent over was about the meat snacks growing 43% a year between, I think, 2021 and 2020. And so meat snacks, you don't traditionally think is sort of a healthy snack, but they're growing dramatically, at least between 2021 and 2020. And the number one, people only bought one snack 14% of the time. They also bought it with soft drinks, with other confection, and the third choice was vodka. So they were buying meat snacks with vodka. That's not a very healthy trend, but those are the trends that are in the US. And so that's to say, it's a big market and you can find a niche for everything. But we're seeing the high growth, again, functional foods, premiumization, health trends. Those are all the high growth categories. So it's good to be there, and it's going to keep growing, in my opinion. So that's the quick view.
Thanks, good to know. And I love the idea of eating chocolates to help you sleep.
Why not? Why not?
And how about the Middle East, Ben? Obviously, traditionally, we think about the Middle East as probably a market where consumers haven't been so concerned about health and wellness. Lots of high sugar products. But is the trend for health and wellness caught on in your part of the world?
Yeah, it's as we've spoken about a few times before, it's similar to the West. So we tend to just follow the West and Europe and Western Europe, and there's a bit of there's a lag there, and we will adopt the same trends, if you like, or the same, we'll follow that. Obviously, we've got huge high cases of obesity and diabetes and things, other diseases in the Middle East, and people are cognizant of that now, more and more aware of that and getting better educated. So those choices, those decisions, there are available items, and there is a bit of a drive, but it's similar to Steve as well. When people want, and I think with Matilda, when she was talking about indulgence, when people want something indulgent, they will have something indulgent, and it might be a bit smaller, a bit less, but because of the pricing situation. But also we have effectively sugar tax in on soft drinks and things like that. So that's impacting the market to a certain extent. So we're moving in that direction more and more, but also it's very difficult to generalize, because the UAE, where people know Dubai, is very, very different to, say, Oman, Bahrain, Qatar, Kuwait, and Saudi, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. They're all very different, and they're different again from the other parts of the Middle East, like Egypt, where there's a big diversity. So yeah, we are, but it's sort of a case by case scenario.
So you're still don't feel too guilty about chomping away on unhealthy products in the Middle East, which is good.
We work with Walker's shortbread, so we
have to say that.
So it's we see that growth as well across the region with that still. So that's not diminishing.
No, and I think it's just listened to you talk. It's made a point, sort of reinforcing what Niels was saying, was that about not taking trends at face value, that you've got to dig a bit deeper. In the case of the States, as Steve said, something for everyone. You've got to find your niche. And as you were saying, Ben, about the Middle East kind of following Europe but not there yet. You've got to, as a manufacturer, you've got to make sure that you hit the trend at the right point on the curve. So not to take what we're saying completely at face value. If we move on to the consumer appetite for premium products, when we did our research, it said that people felt that premiumization it's still a trend, but it is restricted to certain products and certain categories. It's not universal as it probably was, or as universal as it probably was pre-COVID. How are premium products being affected by the current economic situation in the Middle East, Ben?
Yeah, it's really hard to generalize, but in the UAE we've got a bit of a bubble at the moment, because we've not been affected too badly by inflationary pressures and things like that. So that's in itself. Premiumization is broadly speaking still in the same space that we were prior to COVID. I don't think it's really changed. I think what we're seeing is really that when people want to have a premium product, they will spend on a premium product. When they want to, move forward in that space, then they will. Interestingly, though, with the health and wellness thing, you see the average spend. People are much more willing to spend a higher amount, obviously, in that space, especially in the UAE and Qatar as well. Less so in the countries like Oman and Bahrain, where there's lower GDP per capita. It's not the same drive forward in that space.
And are you seeing sort of polarization, perhaps from what you just said, that between, as you say, people who want to buy premium products will buy premium, and there'll always be a percentage of the population who won't be able to buy premium? Is that compromising the kind of the middle ground? We're seeing that in some other markets, that it's either moving towards low cost and discount, or holding the premium end of the market.
Yeah, it's a good question. I'm not sure. Again, say if you take the UAE as an example, I think you're getting a bit of a cross section. You are getting the middle. We've got some low. We've got, in the last few years, there's a new retail player called Viva, who adopted the sort of the Aldi and Lidl model from Europe, and they've been very successful driving down and giving consumer lower cost choices. But then you're still seeing the other retailers where they are a premium retailer. And but within those retailers, exactly like as you described, what actually it's probably relevant, and I think you see this everywhere. And I think again we just follow the trends of elsewhere. What you have seen in the health and wellness space, and say for example in that the plant-based space, what we have seen is in keto bars and things like that, people come in and there's maybe 12 options, there's 12 different brands, and then after a period of time there's a consolidation, and maybe 6 or 5 or 6 remain, 5 remain, and then the retailer have a private label option as well. So then you'll only have 6, and that's generally what we're seeing. And then the other part of that is that people are still spending on premium products, but maybe they're not doing it as frequently, but then they're still having that one indulgent moment. And so that's more what we're seeing, I think, in if I was to sort of generalize across the GCC anyway.
Thanks. Yeah, that's really interesting. Is that this? Would you say the same in the States, Steve? Is it playing out in a similar way?
Yeah, I think food inflation has hit the U.S. quite hard, and so we are seeing consumers cutting coupons, looking for ways to save money, buying private label or white label products. So there is adjustment. But I think it's going on for years as well, sort of the high and low end growth that we've seen. I think that might accelerate it. We haven't seen any stats for 2022. I'm kind of waiting for some data coming out for 2022 in the next month or two to kind of see what really is going on. But everything shows in general that consumers are adjusting to the inflation. But if you want a nice bit of chocolate, people are still going to buy it. People are ready to spend for a nice gift. At the same time, adjusting in some ways to make do for inflation that's going on. So I think that high and low end is going to be coming out, and we'll kind of look at the stats in the next month or two to see what really has happened in 2022.
Yeah, that would be interesting, and presumably you'll be able to share some of that insight with us when you get your hands on the stats.
Be happy to.
Great. And yeah, are you cheering yourself up in France with premium products as well, Mathilde?
Yes, I think it's similar as what my colleagues just mentioned. Clearly, there is, with the inflation, people in France, for food at least, are definitely looking for discount or private label more and more. So we see a big increase for all the products on promotion or the private label in general. But again, like you mentioned, it depends about the type of product, because if you have a look at the very famous group LVMH, which is doing only luxurious product and not food in particular, their turnover and profit has increased by 23% last year, which is huge. So it does show that when people want to consume or want to buy something premium or luxurious, they will do it for sure. After, it depends the type of product and the people, but people that are used to buy premium product, they will keep doing it. But indeed, they may buy less frequently. And what we notice also is all the premium product then will be more bought in delicatessen, which is logical, because it's usually you are going in this type of store to find some different and more premium products. So people will probably go more there than in the retailers when they are looking for a premium product to treat themselves or to buy as gift, for example.
So it's still premium products, but in a specific channel.
Yes, but the retailers are also looking for premium product. I had a buyer from Casino that called me and said, "Oh, Mathilde, do you have premium product, but at a good price?" I was like, "Well, I'm sorry to tell you, but there is a mistake here between positioning and price. I mean, what premium product is not affordable. Well, not exactly. So they are still looking for premium product in terms of quality. French people are, since a few years now, more looking for quality than quantity. But with the current inflation, yes, they have to change a little bit and adjust their spending for food and drinks, at least.
Mm-hmm. Just on that quality issue or quality characteristic, Obviously, we always say that British products, you know, we're up there in terms of quality, innovation, food safety, etc. But how does that translate in for a market like France? Do you look to the UK as a key supplier of quality products compared to other products from other markets?
So I think it's currently changing. I want to say that the older generation used to see UK not as a country where you eat well. No offense here. I think it's what people used to think, and now the new generation are traveling more also, and are going more often to UK. And when you like food, if you go to good place, you eat very well. So people begin to change their mind. And in terms of buyers, they do notice that UK companies are very strong for marketing, communication, and innovation. You are ahead of France for sure for all the trends. So yes, now I think more and more people see UK product as good innovation and quality product. Yes,
that's good to know. So yeah, I think that's a real positive, and I think that's something that, you know, British brands need to play on and push in their conversations with retailers and food service operators and distributors. And another kind of hot mega trend is obviously sustainability, and we've been struggling, I suppose, to try and help companies, particularly smaller companies, is, you know, how do you break sustainability down? What do you do first, and how do you communicate what you're doing to your customers? And I'm just interested to know what kind of sustainable product and packaging trends that you're seeing, and what consumers are looking for from brands when it comes to the sustainability message. Steve, how about the US? What's happening there in terms of sustainability?
Yeah, you know, if you're in the specialty food category and you're sort of at the premium level, sustainability is extremely important. And especially among the millennials, the younger generation, they really want to know how you're making the world a better place. So you really have to think about your story. And oftentimes that's one of the first things we do when we work with our clients. We work on the story, kind of package the story. And one of the kind of innovative packaging we saw was not so much the packaging, but just the Good Sam. They have on their package, be an ally for small farms. And small farms is bigger than the brand name Good Sam. So they're really trying to communicate right on the packaging in big, bold letters. If you buy this, you're going to be supporting small farms. And that's maybe not an extreme example, but it shows you really have to communicate what you're doing, how you're being sustainable. And it can be a wide range of activities, but to really hone that message, develop your story, develop your pitch, and go out there and really present it, that's important. And it makes a difference. Again, at that sort of premium level, specialty food level, very important, what we're seeing in the US.
Yeah, that's really, really interesting that that's becoming so key and such a major part of the brand story is you've got to tick that sustainability box in the eyes of consumers. Is that the same in the Middle East, Ben?
Yeah, it is similar. The bit more in that premium sector that Steve was just referring to. So if it's the point of difference between two brands that are premium brands in a category, in you know, this snacking and confectionery, and that's the point of difference, and it can be sung out and it can be articulated and communicated to the customer, then that might be the point of difference, you know, because that person's already made a commitment to spending more money in that specific product. But generally, it's a secondary issue. You know, it's not, you know, it's definitely not the primary issue. So when we're speaking to buyers across, now this is one of the general points across the Middle East, that will be, it will be price. It will be about price. It will be about, you know, their margins, the sustainability of the actual brand, not the sustainability in terms of, you know, packaging and things like that. It will be about the margins being good enough that this brand will still be here in a year's time, 2 years' time, 3 years' time, etc. And then their margin as a distributor or retailer or both It's really, from that point of view, it's very much secondary. It's not, and we're seeing that across categories.
Yeah, so it's only really on the radar in that premium products as a point of differentiation rather than being critical to.
Yeah, but even then, it's not crucial. Even then, it's not crucial. If they think this is a better quality product and it's actually the same price, or something, they'll go for that better quality product, regardless of, if it's ethically sourced or whatever the sustainability messaging is.
Okay, and how about France, Mathilde? Is sustainability, how important is that to consumers?
More and more important. French consumers and buyers are looking for more sustainable product. I think all the new generation also are more aware about the importance of being careful to our planet, etc. So we see different way, and obviously people are trying at their level to do some good thing for the planet. So for example, we see a lot of people are trying to waste less, because we used to waste quite a lot of food in France. And for example, there is the company Too Good To Go that I'm sure you know. It's getting very big in France, and before it used to be only like boulangerie, fruit and vegetable shops that were using it, but now even the major retailers are using Too Good To Go for product that needs to have short shelf life, for example. We also try to buy more local, more to the producers, so mostly for like meat, fruit and veg. It seems to be more and more important for the consumer to buy local. Again, in terms of sustainability, more and more people are looking to buy no palm oil because of all the scandal of the deforestation, which impacts negatively our planet too. So this is also something. Less packaging for sure. We try to find product that, won't have like a pouch inside a box, for example. So less packaging recyclable. In France this year, we have this new law about the new recycling logo that needs to be on every packaging, which this is a real pain, I have to say. But I guess it's a step that the French government has decided to do to help the consumer to understand how to recycle their product and so have good impact. Less plastic, a bit more bulk products, even if bulk has increased everywhere. So we see them now in every type of store. Before it was only in organic stores. Now in all the retailers, they will have a bulk section, but it's still complicated type of product because people need to bring their own bags or jar, etc. And everybody don't think about it. So I guess it's still a type of a test in France for the bulk, but yes, in general, consumers are looking. It doesn't mean they will be willing to spend a lot more money to buy a product that is sustainable, but they wish to buy better, to consume better. And regarding the buyers, it is the same. They are looking to find a supplier that will be more sustainable. I had a meeting again yesterday with a UK brand that is talking about sustainability in terms of packaging, etc. But they saw that they were also working with Australia and US. And so the first thing that the buyer told me was, it's not really sustainable in terms of logistic, planet, etc. So they are also looking at that. But as I think it was Steve that was mentioning, or it's true that they are still going to check for their margin. So it's not because you offer them the best product, very sustainable, etc. If their margin is small, they're not going to take it. So everybody has his, they're trying to do better, but it's not always easy, I guess.
Yeah, it sounds as though it's probably more ingrained in France than in a market like the Middle East at the moment.
It's not only for premium product in France, because we can see now even some like very common pasta brands that will begin to promote on their packaging that I don't know, for example, that some ingredients are from France, but also that their packaging has now less plastic or less impact, etc. So it's, I would say that it's not only for premium products in France. It's quite a common target.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it goes to show, again, going back to what we were saying before, that sustainability is a huge topic, but it's playing out quite differently in the 3 markets that we're looking at, this morning. And that as a brand, you need to be aware of that when it comes to how you position your products, where you target it, but also that messaging that you're giving to buyers and consumers.
And Nicola, just on that, I mean,
yeah.
I think what we're seeing as well in the Middle East, and it's, I guess, it's a worldview. It's affordability for everybody, because it's one thing having sustainable packaging, but if that means that products are becoming unaffordable for a big percentage of the population, it's making life very, very difficult for people. And when they have to make a choice of whether I'm going to buy something that's sustainable and save the environment, or be able to afford stuff for my family, then obviously that's becoming, and I think that's a global phenomenon, isn't it? Especially at the moment with the economic pressures that most countries are under globally, and we're seeing that. Despite maybe the UAE not experiencing the same level of inflation as in the West, but we are definitely seeing that as and we've got a huge population of if people don't have the same GDP per cap, haven't got high disposable incomes, and so that's the reality of that, and that's being reflected with the buyers and the distributors in their decisions. Do I go for this brand that's got paper packaging and it's got B Corp, etc., or actually am I going to have a higher percentage of volume sales by taking on this product that most people can afford? And that's the reality that we're facing.
Yeah, I think you're all saying the same thing, that at the end of the day, sustainability is it's important, but the financials have got to add up more than anything. That's the key driver. Yeah,
for sure.
Okay. And yeah, do you think we've just got time for a kind of one final look at a case study that obviously if you're an exporter, it's always good to hear how people have gone into markets before you, what went well, what didn't go so well, what bombed completely. So we've just, I think, got time to maybe hear from you, Steve, about how you've helped a brand into the US market. I think you've had a brand with some kind of mixed fortunes, so it'd be good to hear a quick summary of the good, the bad, and the ugly with that one.
Yeah, I'll give a tale of two case studies very quickly. Both Swiss companies. We've been working with Switzerland Global Enterprise for about 15 years, helping Swiss companies, and so they bring us chocolate on a somewhat regular basis every few years, and we've done 2 chocolate projects. One was a very iconic brand, kind of came from an old family, and he came over to New York and we set up some meetings, and then he said, you know what, I don't want to go see them, they should come see me. Why am I have to travel to go see them? He really didn't want to do follow-up. He kind of said, look, we have this great brand, this great chocolate, we sell to movie stars, they should be coming to me. And in the end, he really didn't sell much. I think he found one guy that kind of buys something now and then. We worked with another Swiss chocolate company, also a rather iconic brand, but with a different sort of approach. They were ready to push. They went in, we set up a number of meetings with some importers and distributors focused on the East Coast. They really went out, developed their marketing plan, really went out and pushed with the companies, and did what I'd say is aggressive follow-up. And I think in the US, that's really one of the keys of whether you have a great story. It's important, sustainability, it's important, but at the end of the day, it's as well to really push and follow up. He went in and we helped in some cases doing some of the follow-up with the companies that he met with. And it took some pushing, but he got in and really started selling. And I think that shows the importance of really going in and continuing to push. It takes months in the US. The US market is very open. It's a very big market, but it's also very competitive. So we suggest really letting maybe a year to go in and push with your partners, and then you can start to see results. And so in that case, it worked out very well, but he was willing to put in the work, the effort to keep pushing, to follow up. And I think that's really what it takes to enter the US market. Probably the number one key from our experience, 20 some years helping companies in the US, it's that pushing follow up. If you're willing to do that, you can find a niche, you can get in. And so that's kind of the tale of two different companies that we've worked with.
Yeah, cautionary tale and good advice, and I think that's universal, as in whichever market that you pick. And we always say to UK exporters, if you think about how long it takes to get a listing or get into a UK key account, when you're on the ground, you can devote probably a lot more resource to it than you can in an overseas market. And you can't be successful in too many markets at once, but also you're going to need to put a hell of a lot of effort in over a longer period of time. So yeah, good advice there. So we've just got time. If anyone got any questions that they want to ask of Steve or Mathilde or Ben? Obviously, most of you, if you're FDEA members, you will know them and you're getting to know Steve. But if there's anybody who's got a burning question they'd like to ask, don't be shy.
Hi, Shirley here. I just have a quick question. I was approached by a company that's based in Barbados. They make artisan chocolate, and it is absolutely delicious. It's, I could eat my fingers if I was. It's so delicious. But they use natural ingredients. They use cocoa and all that sort of thing. But they're looking to a branch out of just selling in Barbados. They sell in Masses, which is a store which is pretty popular in Barbados, and Masses has a partnership with Waitrose. But one of the things, just having a quick conversation with a contact that I have here in the UK, is around labeling and things like that for chocolate. I'd say that their product is very much artisan. But I just wanted to get some ideas of how they would best go about branching into the UK market, because I do see their products as quite premium, because it's not cheap, because it's a very small hands-on operation. How to approach the UK and European market from a labeling perspective, and also the buyers as well. It's not an area that I'm familiar with. I'm just a consumer of their lovely chocolate.
Just to confirm, the company's based in Barbados and looking to export to the UK effectively.
Absolutely, and potentially across Europe as well.
Okay. It's not a question that we would be able to, we can probably put in touch with someone who can help, but obviously we're concerned with helping UK exporters to sell in other markets, not to import into the UK. So perhaps if we want to take it offline, and drop me a note separately, and I can introduce you to somebody who might be able to help them.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. Okay.
Cheers. All right, thank you.
Right, no problem. Anybody else got any questions to ask of our panel? We will be sending out, to those of you who are Pro and Premium members and FDEA members going to ISM, we've put together a kind of resource pack coming out of this session that will have some really useful links to articles to read, some trade data. We've got an interview with our ASEAN partners who couldn't make it today, so they've put together a nice little 5-minute video on opportunities in their part of the world. So there'll be quite a lot of stuff coming out to you, and if you're not a member, very much hope that you've enjoyed today and would like to know more about our community and getting involved. So please get in touch with myself and Mel, and we can very happy to talk to you about membership. And so I'd just like to end by thanking, I can't thank Niels because he's left, but to thank Steve, to thank Mathilde and Ben. I think it's always so insightful when you get kind of, you around the table talking about your different experiences, and I think you've done a great job of drawing those out today and giving people a lot to think about. So thank you all very much. Thank you for joining us, and we'll look forward to seeing you at our next event. See you soon.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Nicola.
Thank you very much. Thank you.